Welcome, Warlords, to Saga Thursday. I am your host, Rodge. As always, this week we're talking with Fredrik from Sweden.
Yay.
How's it going,
hey,
man?
You guys. I'm fine. And you?
I am excellent. So we chatted with you a little bit in the Swedish Spotlight.
Yeah, I did.
And you may not have seen it yet, but I recorded the Byzantines with Hamza. And
Nice.
you generously agreed to do the Crusaders.
Yeah.
So we're circling back around here to the Crescent and Cross. And you play this warband pretty frequently. You have a lot of experience with these guys.
Yeah, I played them for I guess 1.5 years or so.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said in the previous video, I started out with no Normans, and I wasn't liking their battle board, so I just went on and searched for another one, and I came across the Crusaders. They were really fun. They're really good.
I mean, I think it's good use of your models for sure.
Yeah, it's basically the same.
Cool. Cool. Yeah, I actually don't know that much about the Crusaders. I know of quite a few people who play the Militus Christi, and I played against them a bunch of times.
Yeah.
But I'm not sure why I haven't played the Crusaders, if they're good or just kind of weird or what's going on there. But I'm sure we'll find out.
Yeah.
Is it more of an advanced board, would you say, or?
It depends. I guess I think the board is at first look or at first sight, it's quite easy. I think there's not many combos going on or anything.
Okay.
But it gets a bit tricky because you need to know when to execute your abilities. That's the tricky part. Mm-hmm. Because you have to unlock your battle board. You don't start with all of the abilities. We'll get into that mechanic soon. So I'd say it's it's not advanced, but it's not for a beginner either. It's the middle of the road.
Okay. Well, let's take a look. Let's do the, I guess, troop options, and then we can talk about the virtues, because I see there's an entire page description here of how they work, so perhaps you can lead us through this. But so the Warlords and Hearthguards may be mounted. They don't have to be. If they're on foot, they use the heavy weapons, so like your main axes. Yeah, it said may. So a lot of cool options right there. Unit of warriors can be mounted. They don't have to be. Okay, it looks like it's actually specific here. So up to 1 unit of warriors of 8 can be mounted. Up to 1 unit of 8 can be equipped with crossbows.
Yeah.
And if you didn't choose crossbows or to be mounted, you can have spears, shields, or bows. So you can have everything.
A lot of options. Yep.
Cool. And then the
like
levies.
a Swiss Army knife.
Yeah. So you guys play in Sweden. Hamza was saying that you can choose your equipment as you're kind of deploying, right?
Yeah. Yeah,
so
that's right.
It's super handy with so many options. Obviously.
I don't have all the options for my.
Yeah, you need a massively huge warband to cover all of these. But the levies are kind of interesting. Armed with knives, slings, sticks, and stones.
Yeah,
and
they're a bit
gain
special as well.
considered equipped with javelins, but at a range of short.
Yeah.
But it says here they're more motivated than other levies.
Yeah, so they are.
They generate 1 attack die for every 2 in melee. So kind of a hybrid of the shooty levy and the spear shield levies. They're going to die as easily as the shooty ones, and
they will.
1 attack die for every 2 isn't really that much more than 1 for every 3.
No, it isn't, but you could build around it. I must say now that I have never played a levy heavy warband, so I'm not that experienced with the Crusader levies. But some abilities make them stronger, so you could play an all levy force.
Okay.
And also, if you pick one of the special characters, which I haven't played, then the levies become really aggressive. They generate saga dice and all that.
The Peter the Hermit, is that?
Yeah, the Hermit.
That's where this is where he hangs out. Cool.
Yep.
So we've got a lot of options here. Do you usually use a mix of troops, or do you usually go all mounted or all foot or anything like that?
I started out with a mix, but after playing for a while, I've been tweaking the army. So now I'm more into Hearthguard, actually.
Okay.
I use like the 4 points of Hurt card, so the majority of the Warband is Hurt card.
Wow, cool.
And I can comment on that when we go through the abilities, because some of the abilities can only be used on Hurt card actually.
Okay.
So as I figured out when I mixed my Warband before, during the late game, like when you have to go in with like 4 warriors, then you can't use some certain abilities, so then you're like a blunt knife.
I don't know. Okay.
So I use 4 points of Hearth cards and 2 points of warriors, actually, for my Warband.
So are the Hearth guard usually all mounted? Or
No, I use 1 unit of 8 mounted, and 1 unit of 8 with great weapons on foot.
Cool, on foot, with the heavy weapons.
Yeah. And I would like to have like 1 more unit on horse so I can mix and match. As I said, when we deploy, we can choose their equipment. So for some games, I would like to try out 3 points mounted and then split them up into 2 units of 6. But I haven't done it in practice yet, so it's just a theory.
Okay, cool. Well, that's kind of interesting. Kind of driving you towards a Hearth guard. So why don't we chat about the virtues and how they work? Very different from the Militus Christi. How they build that, basically just assign dice so they can reliably generate, whatever, on their little power bar, how to get it up. But this looks like it's a little more random, like you kind of have to be a little risky or roll for it.
Yeah, it's like
tell us how it works.
Sort of like a betting mechanic. So before you enter your orders phase, you have to decide, do I want to try to unlock a virtue or not? And you start your battle board with the first virtue, the Prudence. So that gives you like 3 abilities, which are like really basic abilities. And when you decide to unlock a new virtue, you have your 1, 2 through 8 Saga dice, and you select a number you want to use to try to unlock a new virtue. So let's say you have 8 dice in your set, and you pick 3 of them to unlock a virtue. You roll those 3 dice, and if one of those symbols turns out to be one of the symbols corresponding with a new virtue, then you can select that one. But you can only unlock 1 virtue per phase, actually.
Okay.
So once that is done, those dice that were spent on unlocking a virtue are taken out of the game. So then you reduce your maximum pool limit.
What for?
For one turn.
For when you're like generating your Saga dice the following.
So that means when you go into your orders phase, then if you just used 3 dice to unlock a virtue, then you're down to 5. So even if you generate 6 dice, you can only roll 5. And should one of those dice be like a rare dice, you can't use the activation pool to roll extra ones.
So you can't sneak it back up.
No, because they're out of the game. That specifically states.
Okay.
So it's a bit of a risk and reward thing, because I mean, if you could choose 1 dice if you want to, but the chance of getting the good virtue is slimmer, of course.
Yes, I'm assuming the abilities get stronger.
Sort of.
The more virtues, or the more of them are unlocked.
They definitely get stronger, but also they get more like tweaked into a certain playstyle. So the hardest virtues to unlock are the most aggressive virtues.
Okay.
So it's a tricky mechanic.
Interesting.
Not being able to play with your entire battle board, because if you're really unlucky, you won't unlock your final abilities like for the most part of the game.
Yeah, I mean, we've gone games where it's been multiple turns we don't get a rare. So if you're just throwing a few dice at it, you can be pretty tricky.
I've been there like some games when we go into like turn 4 and 5, and I haven't unlocked the final virtue. I just pick up like 5 or 6 dice from my orders pool and just throw them just to get that one rare. And if you don't get it, it's like bad luck. You're not gonna do anything that turn.
No. Okay.
It's a fun mechanic, because it puts pressure on the opponent as well. Hamza always says this, like he wants to like engage me as fast as possible before I unlock my best virtues, but I also want to like avoid him until I have the best virtues unlocked. Okay. So it becomes like a cat and mouse game. But then once I unlock the full board, then it's all on.
So interesting. kind of keep comparing it to Militus, but yeah, it's kind of a defensive thing until you hit your juicy power level.
Yeah. So what I usually do, it's like I used to like roll 2 dice every turn. So I at least have 6 dice for the moving and activating units. But as of lately, I've been starting to like during the first turn, I pick up 4 usually, just to increase the chances of getting that rare. So the first turn, I'm down to 4 dice when activating my units, and that usually brings me either an uncommon or a rare dice to unlock one of the harder virtues.
Okay, yeah.
And then from turn 2 and on, I just go for 2 every turn, unless I like really need a virtue, as I said. And I think that's a bit better than just throwing 2 dice every turn, because if you don't unlock them early, as I said, when you play a mission and you really have to engage during turn 3 and 4, if you don't have your virtues, you're not gonna win that combat.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. Early game, not too much going on. If you're using mounted guys, you don't even really have to.
And I can move 1 unit with my warlord, and I can use the rest of the 4 dice to do normal activations. So it's usually okay. You don't need to move that much in the start of the game.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's dig into the board itself. So I'm looking up top. The only thing I'm seeing different, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, is the combat pool, which has a slight difference there. First off, it's a shooting or melee.
Yeah.
There's no shooting reaction to gain defense dice, but gain 1 attack or defense dice, and then it's actually 3 if you discarded a rare and you have the purple fortitude virtue unlocked. So
the final one.
If you don't have that unlocked, then you do not get a bonus for the rare, it would seem then. So a double-edged sword, but yeah, not too shabby. 3 attack or defense dice for
that's good.
Rare could be good if you got everything unlocked and everything went to plan and you got all these extra rares to burn. So
and there's also the levy activation. As I said, I haven't used levies, but in their box, if you use a rare dice, you can get to activate 2 units of levy.
Oh, neat.
So that's also a difference. Yeah, so you can see right straight from the start that you could build an entire pilgrim battle board, because you can activate multiple units quite easily. And don't forget, if you take the hermit, then all your levy will generate saga dice, so they're pretty much self-sufficient.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Why don't we go down to taking the cross? Do you want to lay that one out for us?
Yeah. So taking the cross is an orders activation.
Is that the uncommon dice there?
Yeah, it's the uncommon dice. Okay. It's the Templar symbol. So it says, until the end of the turn, the movement of your models is increased by very short for foot troops and short for mounted troops. And this is one of those abilities that you start out with. So you don't have to unlock these orange abilities.
Oh, okay, I see now.
Yeah. So and this is down. So you have the 3 first ones. Those are the ones you start with. And taking the cross, it's a solid ability. I use it every turn. It's an auto use.
Getting some speed. Auto use.
It triggers your entire army for 1 turn. So every activation you do from that point will have a longer reach. Or every movement activation, sorry.
Yeah,
so if the cavalry has 16 inches of move, that's always good.
Yeah, and it means for every activation, so like a foot unit, has a two activations is 16 inches. It's deceptive, so you can really, and the cav would be 30, 32 if you want to double.
I've caught people off guard so many times with this.
Oh yeah, that's a lot. 32 is a lot of board. Holy man.
As we go through the combat activations later, but as you can see right now, if you have a unit with great access, just throw them away for 2 activations, 16 inches. That's a lot of threat range. If I need to delete another Hearthguard unit, I will just throw away my 8 Dane axes 16 inches.
Yeah, that's huge. I mean,
then we'll trade. Yeah.
Especially sometime, far off. I got some fatigue on my guys or whatever. I don't have to worry about it till next turn because you're so far away. And then boom, boom.
Yeah, almost. As I said, it catches people off guard so many times. And with the cavalry as well, as you said. We've played missions where you have to kill the enemy warlord. And being able to like flank around 32 inches with your mounted troops, will just catch him in the back, and he has nobody around him to protect him. So
yeah,
so it's a good ability.
You can't make a battle line wide enough to block 32 inches, 16 one way and then 16 back.
Yeah, and you could use it, as I said, you activate one unit with your warlord with We Obey, so that's a free activation. And then you have to only spend one more die to activate the knights. So it's like 2 dice to get them 32 inches around. And the good thing about this as well that I need to say is that it doesn't affect terrain. So when you move through terrain, you first reduce your movement, and then you add the extra movement for this ability.
Cool. So
infantry
the cav,
the cav will move
respectable 8 inches.
Yeah, 8 inches.
Two
the
shorts.
Infantry will move 6 inches through terrain. So that's always a good thing when you play on like a terrain-heavy map, or if you have an objective sitting in a piece of terrain.
Yeah, that's a good point. So the 8 inches could take you through it in one go.
Yeah, and you can also escape if you need to pull back, because your enemy won't be able to follow you as fast through terrain.
True. Very cool points. Okay, let's pop down to the Peasant Crusade. This one sounds like it might be handy for the levy, just based off the title alone.
Yeah, it is.
So another uncommon die. This is an order or order's reaction. Until the end of the current turn, your pilgrims engaged in melee generate attack dice as if they were warriors. Yeah. Awesome. Not too shabby. So you can use it in your turn for attack, or push them up into the opponent's face, and then on their turn you pop it, and then for the rest of the turn they're gonna take some damage, wiping out your little turdlings.
Yeah, that is correct.
So that's really cool. Now I play the Anglo-Saxons. They have a similar ability that costs, I believe it's a rare and uncommon. So for just an uncommon, this is pretty good. Now the Anglo-Saxon one turns them into warriors, so you get the extra pip of armor, which could be pretty big. In my opinion, 3 to 4s, but for uncommon dice, pretty decent.
Yeah,
You're really
solid. As I said, I haven't played with Levy that much, so I can't really comment on the effectiveness, but it seems really solid. And if you just, as I said before, just take a look at Peter the Hermit, he will increase the effectiveness of all your levy. All your levies will have 2 extra defense die, just base, if you take Peter. So that kind of makes up for the lack of armor as well. You will always get 2 extra defense die with your levies.
Amazing. Definitely some potential there.
Yeah.
One of the starting abilities,
Yeah, I can't really say much about it as I haven't tried the levy army.
Yeah, the only thing I say is the way that it works, they generate attack dice as if they're warriors. So I don't know if there's other abilities on the board, but so they kind of double their attack dice generation, but that's at step either 1 or 2. So at step 3, then you can further double it again potentially if you have some of those abilities.
When we get down the line to the purple ones, again, when you take Peter the Hermit, some of your pilgrims may be used together with Hearthguard activations. So combined with some of the purple abilities, and this could be really useful. Yeah.
So you haven't been enticed to take the levies? Just sneak it 2. Seems like 2 units would be. Yeah. You could be very efficient as compared to other boards.
It could be. I haven't tried them out. I could definitely see myself trying like a levy-based army, but I haven't been mixing them in with my forces.
Yeah, they're kind of deceptive.
Yeah, they are.
Because they take a lot of uncommon and rare dice to get them moving. So they
also when you look at
sap your strength.
Yeah. When you unlock the combat abilities, they will only target warriors and Hearthguard and stuff like that. So that's why I don't use levies.
Okay, good deal. Want to move down to the Bosphorus?
Yeah. The Bosphorus, yeah. So this is a rare dice activation, also one of your starting abilities. And it says discard up to 3 fatigues in total from up to 3 different units. These units may not engage an enemy unit in melee this turn. So the first thing we see is that it's an activation. It's not an orders activation. You can play it a bit tricky. So even if you can't engage anymore that turn, you can still use this at the end of your turn.
Yeah, that makes it interesting.
Yeah, and it's a bit deceiving though, because on the battle board it says discard up to 3 fatigues from up to 3 different units. But if you look in the rulebook, it says you have to choose up to 3 units, and you discard 1 fatigue each.
Okay, so it's not 9 fatigue.
No, and you can't. No, and you can't take 3 from 1 either. That's how I played this in the beginning when I wasn't really sure about how to use it. Just stack up on fatigue on 1 unit and then clear them all off.
I could see. Yeah, it's just one sentence there needs to be clarified. So
yeah,
good.
But then again, it's a good ability. I mean, you can use it to finish your turn if you need to clear off some fatigues, if you've been overextending your movement and stuff. So it's solid. It's still a rare dice, so I don't play it every turn, of course.
Yeah,
but it's good.
It kind of sets you up for the following turns.
Yeah.
You can't do a rest, burn this, and then go in fresh on your awesome unit. You have to use it, like you said, afterwards, which is nice. Most of these, when you see, are just orders things, so you burn it right away.
Yeah.
So it's not.
I've been using this mostly if I throw in my Hearthguard with my Warlord, maybe. Punch a hole in something, and then I just clear off the fatigue and be ready for another fight in my opponent's turn.
Yeah, that's good. The Warlord, the unit's clear, and some other unit.
Just stay fresh. So that's always good. It's a good ability.
Excellent. Yeah, very, very handy being able to shed fatigue. Not everybody can do it. So we're going to move into the Great City. Now this one has a little green symbol next to it, meaning...
So we're moving into the next virtue, the Temperance, which has to be unlocked with a common dice.
Okay, so you should be using these ones.
Yeah,
unless you're...
basically always get them.
Okay. So the Great City, this is a shooting reaction, cannot be used on the levies. A little addendum there. Increase your armor by 1. Not too shabby. If you have the Fortitude unlocked, the purple rare one, unit also gains 3 extra defense dice.
Yeah.
So, wow, yeah. Not a lot is if you do have that purple. That unit will not be taking any casualties. Nope. That shooting phase, at least. The rube is it's always. Basically one shooting activation. Yeah. So a lot of the war bands tend to just wear you down with multiples. So
of course.
The mileage is mixed, but if they have the crossbows or something like that, definitely handy for keeping Mounted Hearthguard alive.
Yep.
For uncommon or rare die.
This is straight up defensive ability. I don't use it that often. But if I face something that shoots a lot, or somebody who stacks up on shooting abilities, I might keep a dice here if I need to protect something, and just wait. If he burns all his shooting abilities, then I will counter with this one. But then again, you can't protect, as you said, from multiple activations. So in the end, you have to weather the storm.
Yeah, and you don't, like we said, the combat pool doesn't give you anything for the shooting. No. So this is probably. I'm just glancing here. It looks like this is pretty much it for the board for shooting defense. So at least you got something here.
Usually I think the best way to use this is when you play a mission where you have to either hold some piece of terrain or protect a flank or something. And just keep a dice here, and if anybody wants to try to shoot at me, I will just stay still and hold my ground. So it's good for that.
Yeah, it's probably a little pricey. If you don't have the purple unlocked, but if you do, it's a really good value. So, okay, you want to move on to Holy Land, hitting that
Holy
top
Land.
row.
So as you can see, the theme of these abilities are all about, the Crusades and the Holy Land. And this one is also targeting your, it targets any unit. It's a melee ability for an uncommon dice. So it's spent during stage 3 of a melee, and that you have to remember. It says your unit removes all of its fatigue at the end of the step 7 of this melee. If used on pilgrims, immediately re-roll the saga die spent for this ability and place it on your board. So once again, it's like themed around your pilgrims because they get the most mileage out of it. But the thing is, it's an okay ability. It removes your fatigue at the end, but as I said, it's activated during step 3. So usually my opponent will use my melee or my fatigue, before I get to clear it off. Mostly, so usually it's only one fatigue that will be cleared.
Just the one for the combat. Unless you happen to have a buttload for whatever reason, it could use it then, but basically just forces them to use it on you.
So if you go offensive, if you engage, then you might have like 2 or 3 fatigue, but then when your opponent reacts, you can use them up to take them away. So then you've basically burnt one of your uncommon dice.
And then it's interesting with the pilgrims. I don't know that this is particularly useful for the pilgrim, unless you use.
You get your dice back.
Peter the Hermit, I guess, re-roll it, put it down there. That's interesting.
So once again, it's an interesting ability, but I haven't used it that much. It's situational, definitely. Maybe if you have like a lot of fatigue and you get engaged, then you could use it. But usually I want to be in control of the engagements when I have the movement bonuses for taking the cross. So I kind of want to decide where to fight, and then I won't. Most often I won't have that much fatigue when I go in.
Yeah, it's kind of weird because we already talked about the Bosphorus. So I know you won't always have a rare or uncommon, but it seems basically you're getting 3 times the bang for your buck with the Bosphorus if you do have the rare. So that would be the way to go, unless you're hampered by your dice.
Definitely.
Always, kind of fills the same niche, kind of clearing yourself after the battle. But okay. I'm gonna go down to Doral.
Let's go. Now we're going to the interesting part.
How would you pronounce that? Doral?
Dorylaeum, I think.
Dorylaeum.
It's like the Latin name of a battle site. I think it's in Turkey today.
Okay.
Like where the first Crusaders engaged some Turks on their way to Jerusalem.
Caught them out, or was it?
No, I think it was the opposite.
Defeat,
the Turks got the Crusaders out.
Oh, and then they're like, these guys are pushovers, easy peasy.
Like probably, as with all of the Crusader history, it's probably been like written in favor of the Crusaders, of course.
Yeah, so no doubt.
The story says they made like a heroic stance and they fought like without their armor and stuff because they didn't have time to put it on. And sure, that's what happened.
Okay, so this is a melee ability, and actually it's the first ability that can use all dice.
The goodness.
However, it's one of the blue ones, so you require the uncommon virtue to be unlocked. So you'll probably have this one. I'm going to assume most games.
Like when I want to engage, then I will have this one. I will not engage without having the blue or purple virtues unlocked.
Okay, good to know. May only be used on a unit of at least 4 knights that engaged in melee. So knights, that specifically refers to Hearthguard.
Only Hearthguard,
Only Hearthguard.
And they have to be at least 4.
4, wow. That's really specific.
They have to be the ones that engaged. So now we're getting down to why I play quite Hearthguard heavy.
Wow, there's so many. First, you have to have the blue unlocked. Then it has to be Hearthguard. Then it has to be over 4 or more, and then it has to be on your turn.
Okay.
It's pretty specific. But,
yeah, it's quite easy.
You can make it. Yeah, not too difficult. Make all that happen. But gain 3 extra attack dice. If you have a purple fortitude, gain 5 attack dice instead. Cool. So just pure attack dice, no defensive options. If you have at least 4 guys, you're going to have 8 attack dice normally, probably more. So go 8 to 11 or 8 to 13 for potentially just an uncommon die.
Yep. Yeah, that's tasty.
That is pretty tasty.
Yeah, it is.
So far, none of the previous 5 abilities have all been uncommon and rares, so you'll probably have that uncommon die available. Just begging to use it.
Probably. So this is one of the solid melee abilities, of course. And as I said, I've built my army around movement and lots of Hearthguard. So I can really get the most use out of these. Because you need to be engaging, so you need to be in control of the movement phase, so to speak. That's why taking the cross is on autoplay. I play it almost every turn, so I can engage. And you have to have 4 Hearthguard, basically. So that's why I use units of 8.
Yeah, really.
I used to run like a unit of 4, but then again they took like 1 javelin to the face, and then it just shut down half my board. For that unit.
And I see at least one other ability like that.
Yeah.
So I mean, probably units of 6, or maybe the smallest that you'd want to do.
Yeah, exactly. But it's a solid ability. I use it like 90% of the times when I engage with my Hearthguard, of course. If I need to get some extra attack dice and I have like a common dice over, I just put it there. It's a no-brainer, basically. And as I said, it gets better the more virtues you have. So in the late game, when you hopefully have the last virtue, you get 5 attack dice instead. And that's really powerful.
Yeah, I mean, if you have that one unlocked and you happen to have a rare for the combat pool, you get 3 for that. But you can, between those, an uncommon and a rare, you could get 8 attack dice. It basically means out your 4.
And it means that you can like have your combat efficiency up for longer with your Hearthguard. So maybe if you engage with 8 in the mid game, you only get 3 attack dice, and you fight some battles, and you take 2 or 3 casualties. Then once you unlock the last virtue, you will get 5 dice. So then you get back. You make up for losing some guys for longer.
That makes sense. That's cool. Yeah, great ability. Definitely see why you do that.
Worthy of the historical trope or anecdote.
Okay. You want to go down to victory then?
Yeah.
And that's what we're going to call part 1 of our Crusader battle board review. Thanks to Fredrik for everything so far. If you have any questions about what you've seen or heard today, please drop a comment below. Otherwise, you can check back next week for part 2, the conclusion of our Crusaders review. Thanks for watching, subscribing, liking, all that jazz. I'm going to see you guys next week. Saga!